The next step of the installation is configuring the IP addresses of the BAC library server. For this, BAC requires public access to all BAC services. All port forwarding details are as follows. Firstly, we need public access to the BAC library server's remote management module port. For this to happen, the following two ports need to be forwarded. Public IP port 8445 to port 433 of the remote management module port. Public IP port 8444 to port 7578 of the remote management module JViewer port. Only ports 8444, 8445, 8447, and 8448 go to the remote management module or management. Now, let's look at the port assignments. Port 8444 is for kernel-based virtual machine, forwarding to port 7578. Port 8445 is for remote management module, forwarding to port 443. Port 8447 is for CD-ROM recovery solution, forwarding to port 5120. Port 8448 is for USB image recovery solution, forwarding to port 5123. All other ports normally go to Eth0 of the BAC library server. Port 22 is for ASPRA, forwarding to port 22 for secure file delivery. Port 80 is for system updates and the local BAC user interface. Port 123 is for network time protocol. Port 443 is for Landsat socket client and server, and ASPRA tokens, all for secure communication and metadata retrieval. Port 8140 is for Puppet, used for configuration management. Port 8446 is for BAC user interface. Port 10000 is for LSA RAID management. Port 10050 is for Zabbix, the monitoring software. Port 10907 is for Landsat socket server for internal communication. Port 10921 is for FTP, and port 10922 is for SSH. Port 10943 is for Secure Apache. Port 10970 is for Landsat socket client. Port 10980 is for Apache, the back-office user interface. Port 10981 is for Socket.io, required for dynamic behavior. Port 10985 is for KDM, which is key delivery message to unlock movies. Port 33001 is for ASPRA, the secure content client for movie delivery. And finally, port 65000 is for Landsat console socket. Make sure to configure your firewall accordingly and refer to your site requirements for any specific port changes. This concludes the step-by-step walkthrough for BAC library server port configuration.